Welcome back, everybody, to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Ella.
And I'm Bernice. Yeah,
Woo! It is a beautiful spring day. It feels like spring. Does it feel like spring to you?
it is nighttime here now.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're not in the same vibe. But yesterday it was really beautiful out. It was hot girl weather. I could see summer. You know when you like get that glimpse of like in those movies you get a flashback of like a really spicy memory. That's how I feel about summer. It just like kept on creeping in and I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, I get to be like feral if I want to in like a few months." And like be outdoors.
Feral kitten time.
Feral kitten times. It's feeling like my whole mentality right now is getting ready for summer. I feel like I hurt my own feelings and now after being a via little girl and now I'm sad and my whip is broken. So I
Oof.
was like, what's my output here? So I got my ass back to the gym and running, sprinting to the gym, and I'm gonna do something that makes me really happy. I was like, what has always made me happy? I was like, gymnastics. So I'm gonna do some like adult gymnastics, like open gyms, to just like
Great
get my
idea.
groove back on, you know? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been up to?
All right, baby. So it was Easter
Oh, yeah.
yesterday. We know that Ella does Easter stuff. No, but okay, so Easter's my favorite holiday because it has the best food. We're doing like breakfast for
Oh,
dinner.
okay.
I love a breakfast for dinner moment. But my dad was like, "Come to church," and I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll do this for you." He's like, "It's at 8 o'clock," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
so early." And so on a Sunday, I got up at 7, dragged my ass out of bed to church. I come into church and I was like, it's feeling a little light in here for Easter. It's feeling very, I was like, where are the bodies? Church starts at 8:45. So my dad was like, oopsies. And so we just sat in an empty church for like 45 minutes kikiing. So it was good. But then I did not leave my grandma's house until 10 o'clock last night. So I had that let's calculate that out. That's 12 hours of family time yesterday. Praise be. But it was a lot. Even when you're around people you love that much, like people time for 12 hours, I was like,
Yeah. That
I
is
got into
people
my
time.
little bed last night and I was like, okay, it's just me and the dog. This is how I like things. I like
Yeah.
Easter because it's when Jesus rose from the dead
Yeah,
on
the
the third
dust. The
day. He
dust.
just he just like literally disappeared and he said, "I'm gone. I'm no longer here. My body is gone." And I don't know, I think it's just like the funniest holiday because it's like we're celebrating when Jesus deuced out of his body and ascended into heaven. So that's kind of fun. It's kind of iconic, you know? I kind of want to disappear after after being
I'm
dead for 3 days.
Yeah, I kind of forget about Easter because I am not religious anymore and I don't live with family members. So when other people do Easter things, I'm like, oh yeah, there's things that people do with their family members on this day. But I think that's very unique to American culture. I can't really remember if that's the thing I ever did in Mexico. In Mexico, you get the week off. It's like Holy
Yeah,
Week.
you have Holy Week.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. So Holy Week, the only reason I know this is because, I've traveled a lot during Holy Week with the church. I went to Guatemala and they have a really cool Holy Week where they have the like carpets made out of sawdust and then they have these really grand parades. Do they have that in Mexico too? I'm sure they do.
Probably I can't remember. I just know that usually this week everybody travels because it's like the
Yeah.
one week everybody has off, like work, school, nobody does anything, so people get the fuck out. In that sense, I always had Semana Santa be like Lady Kitty,
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to the beach, I'm gone. Yeah, it's usually when people's spring breaks are, so
Yeah,
it's a good time. Anyways, I'm not Christian at all, but I just like I want to say I do it for the culture, but it's more like the it means something to my dad, so I'm gonna do it, and it doesn't really change my life at any point. And thankfully, we go to a church. I would not do it if we went to a church that was like exclusionary to anybody's identities. I could not get on board with that. But since we're like down for the cause on all levels, I'm like, okay, I can sit here for an hour with you 3 times a year.
I feel that. I think religion, some of it really just embeds to part of your culture. Like I don't necessarily like fully kiki with the Catholic Church, but like I went to like in Mexico they have like a specific it's called la Basilica de Guadalupe. It's for like the Virgin Mary, with the Mexican version. And that's something like I grew up doing with my grandma. So, like that I feel like is part of my life and identity without it necessarily being tied to like religious following.
So yeah, that's it. But we have like a very different themed episode.
Yeah.
I'm actually
Yeah.
really excited. Are you excited?
I'm excited. Let's get it.
We're gonna talk
Yeah.
about fucking around and found out. And finding out. Fucking around and finding out.
She's out of touch. It's okay.
Well, I was okay. Here's the episode. Fucked around and found out.
Thanks for your concern.
So it's come to my attention that I love to fuck around and find out. I don't know why. Sometimes it rarely ever ends well, to be honest with you. But sometimes I feel like this is a good way of life that you just have to fuck around and find out about certain things.
Yeah, and there's that classic meme where it's like, the more you fuck around, the more you find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like young, youthful me fucked around and found out the hard way.
All the time.
All the time. I would say the one time I really fucked around and found out was... Okay, so basically, I should not been hanging out with the people I was hanging out with, but I did not give a fuck, okay? Because I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just... Blah, 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 blah. I had a little run-in with the law, and I just realized that, you know what? Maybe I don't want to fuck around and found out, because those people went to jail that night, and I luckily was not committing a crime, so I didn't get locked up. But
yeah,
that was like when I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to my mama and not hang out with the wrong people, because I literally almost went to jail.
Yeah. I will say to that, I was definitely the person that my parents told me not to hang out with. I was like, don't worry about me, Mom. Don't worry about me. I'm the menace to society.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, when you're younger, because fucking around and finding out, ultimately, it's like life lessons, right? That you just have to learn by making a mistake, by, just putting the feelers out there and seeing what happens. Ultimately, yes, when I was younger, I loved to test this theory in relationships and friendships, whatever. As you get older, the stakes of fucking around and finding out do get higher.
Yeah.
So
you're like, I actually don't want to find out.
Yeah, I don't need to find out anything.
Yeah.
But some things that I have fucked around and find out that are fun, I guess, or good ones. I have fucked around and found out with just activities. Like, I love to try out new things without necessarily like a purpose to, I'm going to sign on forever to this activity, just like to see if I enjoy it. And in that sense, I have fucked around and found out about sort of like how I like to move my body. I think like with the whip, it was kind of on a whim where I thought like, oh, this is just going to be like a cool little activity. And then I found out I love this thing and I can't put it down. You know what I mean? And like unlocked a section of me, of my whole being that I didn't even know like existed.
Dude, I love Pilates, and maybe I don't need to like lift super heavy weights to the point where my body's like, no, the next day. A couple people, like twice in the past couple weeks, people have been like, are you an instructor here? And I'm like, no, but thank you. That is the highest compliment.
New career path.
Yeah, maybe I'll fuck around and find out about that. But yeah, definitely like how it can be good. It can be like positives. And I feel like sometimes I start something and I find out I do not like this, and maybe I should not have spent $400 on this new hobby. But you know what? I would have never known if I didn't try to fuck around.
Yeah. So sometimes fucking around and finding out is about just the tip of your feet in the water, not necessarily the full dunk slam dunk. Another things I fucked around and found out, you just have to be a girly that likes to ask questions, okay? You never know. you never know what's gonna happen. All right, we talk a lot about like the audacity to just like ask for something. I fucked around and found out that out of all the airlines, the Alaska flight attendants, they like to turn up, okay? They get you the most drunk on those flights. They don't care if you pay for those drinks. They just are there for the hee hee ha ha's. I've had wonderful experiences on Alaska flights when I just go back and I'm like, are you guys selling alcohol? And they just start handing me wine, okay?
We're gonna get someone fired. No, we had a great time together once where we were just like, I swear to God, we were just being. I think we gave up our seats, did we not, to a family?
I don't know.
We were on a flight. We were sitting together. A son was like screaming at the top of his lungs because his mom and him were separated, and they said like, "Do we have any volunteers?" And you and I were just like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And then we literally didn't have to pay for anything that whole night, that whole flight. It was so fun. And they were like,
Sometimes
"Thank you
it's
so
about
much."
the vibes. It's about the vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you might as well just ask. You never know.
Yeah. So I feel like what are other times when I'm on a flight, I feel like the asking a question is like, my mom always says a girl can always ask, and she's asked some audacious things, but she also gets a crazy amount of things that you would never expect. She'll go into like a goddamn department store and be like, "Do you have a friends and family discount since we're friends now?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh my God. What do you mean? You just met my mom." But she always does that stuff. And sometimes it's so cringy and embarrassing, but then again, she keeps on doing it because she
Knows it works.
knows it works. Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget that our fellow peers are also just human beings.
Yeah.
And so you might get like a down ass bitch. Like, I can imagine probably somebody that works with me would not know that I'm a little dubstep rave slave girly. You know what I mean? Until they talk to me. And then they realize, oh my God, she doesn't have a stick up her ass. That's not why she doesn't talk. She doesn't speak because she just wants to get out of here. You know?
Dude, I don't speak at work because because I cannot let my intrusive thoughts win, because I would say the craziest shit at work, and I know that because I used to swear a lot at me and Berenice's old job, and I thought no one noticed until Berenice was like, "No, people notice," and I was like, "Oopsies." I'm gonna keep that to myself then.
You know, it is what it is. It's okay. It's endearing. People, I think in the company I work for now, people swear a lot more than
Me
they
too.
did at my other company. And I think it's okay. Also, like, I know my sister, like, lawyers also do that. So it's kind of like your work culture. But, like, yeah, the company we worked for was, like, very, very, very PC in all terms of that. Fucking around and find out. There are some things that I don't think I needed to fuck around and find out. This includes, you know, anytime I entertain something with like an old fling. I'm just like, sometimes, you know, they're looking good and you're just like in a low place in your life and you're just like, maybe I'll just fuck around and find out. You know what you're gonna find out? Nothing. Okay, you're gonna find out that you're still stupid. But they're still the same human being. And that it's disappointment, it's tears, it's shambles. There's nothing to find out.
Yeah, I said, like, trying not to catch feelings for a fuckboy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, when you fuck around, you're saying, no, we can kind of hang out a little bit. I'm not gonna
No.
catch feelings. I know he's bad for me. I know he's a fuckboy. And then you fall, and you're like, fuck, I thought I was gonna fall for him. We already talked about this. Why am I here? And it's like, because you fucked around.
I've been a victim to this a few times. Where I'm like, I don't even like him. And then like literally you see a month later crying over this person. It'd be like that. I personally do believe that people will tell you how things are gonna end pretty early on. Like, you know, the end at the beginning. So if you get kind of like a glimpse of what the vibe is at the beginning, maybe you don't want to fuck around and find out. Okay, maybe it's not worth it.
Also, like, ignoring red flags when you're like, you know what? How bad is dating this
It's
person
bad.
gonna be?
Bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And then the thing is I always think it's funny when someone does you dirty and then they tell you, but I told you I'm a bad guy. You know, like, I told you I'm a fuckboy. I told you I'm a piece of shit. And then you're like, you know what? I thought you were joking. I didn't think that this was like, I I didn't actually think you were gonna hurt me this badly, and I knew that you were gonna hurt me, just not this badly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, maybe don't fuck around and find out when it comes to exes. I think a good way to maybe finding out what you really want is just to ask if anything's changed, you know? That's a
Yeah.
great way. I remember
Oof. Yeah.
I did a spin around the block right back to an ex, after I was booty hurt. And after our encounter, I was just like, has anything changed? And he was like, no. And I'm like, okay, then in the sake of our friendship, in the sake of our friendship, I'm gonna drop this right now, but here are my boundaries moving forward in the sake of our friendship. So you can always redeem yourself from stuff, but I think you should find out what you need to find out probably as soon as possible, and less of the fucking around and more on the finding out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, have you ever, I would say sometimes I would, play games. And, whether it's on purpose or on accident, I would play games and then get called out. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should have just, played this a little bit more straight. Maybe I should have fucked around and, done something kind of shady, because the finding out part, when you get called out by, one, maybe two people, and you're like, oopsies, I'm sorry, but you're not sorry. Yeah, people find out, so don't be shady.
Yeah, I agree. And mostly when your nature isn't to be shady, I can tell you right now that you're not going to be good at it. Okay?
Oof,
You're
yeah,
not.
heavy
You're
on
not
that.
Miss Sneaky McQueens over here. No, you're going to be terrible because you don't know how to lie, so you're going to do it wrong. You're going to slip because you just don't do it. So I think you should just be true to yourself. You know what I mean? At that point.
So that's actually why I have now, I've for a very long time I only date one person at a time, because I literally cannot successfully juggle at all. So that's why I've learned that the hard way. So I'm like, okay, nope. I end up in a bachelor situation when you're in love with multiple people at the same time, but you're not supposed to be in love with either of them, and neither of them are in love with you. It just creates a lot of turmoil. And I'm like, I'm never gonna do that again.
That's probably a good call. I don't think I've ever been like that. When I really start liking someone, I get a little tunnel vision. So luckily, no, I think one time, and I did fuck around and find out, and I found out I wasn't good at hiding anything, and
Yeah.
I should not be fucking around. Another one, things that I don't think you need to fuck around and find out, trying to get with people in your friend group. I don't think you should fuck around and find out. I think that if you develop feelings for somebody, you might want to share how you feel. But I do not think you should tippy toe around it, to be honest. You're going to fuck around and find out that it's going to get weird.
I would like to say, I think sometimes you should, when you're have a crush on someone, sometimes you just should decide to just not. Sometimes it's just easier, because especially if you share, if you know for a fact that person is not interested in you in that way and you've had a discussion about it, you just end up hurting yourself. And then you're like, oh my God, I could have just avoided this by not liking you and liking somebody else.
I think that it depends on the situation, but I've had more friends hit on me than I've hit on them, but I've had one good friend kind of try to get with me, but it was kind of spur of the moment, and honestly, I was pissed. Because I was like, "What are you doing?" And then they try to play it off like there's been a vibe, right? And I'm like, there has not been a vibe.
No, none.
And that's the risk of fucking around and finding out. You might find out that it's in your head and it is one-sided, right? And before pulling a move, maybe I would have liked a conversation, because then I was like, first of all, if you really valued me and treasured me and had feelings for me, I feel like this would be a conversation over like a physical move. Second of all, how dare you try to jeopardize our friendship we've had for years for a little moment? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't fuck around and find out with your friends. I think they're your friends for a reason, but I do think you can develop feelings for friends, but that I think you should just invest more time to hang out with that person one on one and leading conversations before doing anything physical, so you know where you're both at and you can remain friends. Because in some instances, some guys are more down to hook up than girls are down to hook up and just hook up. So if you like end up having feelings for the dude and the dude's like, oh my god, I'm game, like I like this person as a person, but might not like you in that way, you know what I mean? And then it's gonna get weird, then you're gonna have feelings and you're in a friend group and you're gonna have to see them all the time, and take it from your girl. That's never a good look. I fucked around and found out with people in friend groups, and I'm gonna tell you what I found out, okay? If you meet a group of people and you like the whole group of people, do not fuck around and find out with any of them. Just be a friend to all of them. And this has happened to me multiple times, especially moving to New York, where I meet a group of people and I'm like, I love this group of people. And I'm like, oh my God, but that one's so cute. Did I have self-control? No. So, it could have saved a lot of grief and a lot of, because then you're like, I like the whole friend group, but now it's weird with this person. And then if they bring somebody else around, they feel weird about inviting me. You know what I mean? So, save yourself some trouble.
Period.
Period.
I would say I will not insert myself into drama unless I know without a shadow of a doubt that someone is cheating. But besides that, I'm just gonna not be a part of it at all, because I've had a couple of times where I haven't really inserted myself, but people have just inserted me to take a side, and I might actually have a point of view of who's right and who's wrong. But I think it's best just to stay out of it. Stay out of it. You can let them kind of brawl it out, but I don't know, because sometimes it doesn't really matter who's right or who's wrong. It's those two have to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna fuck around and find out by fucking around and putting yourself in anyone's relationship, what you will find out is that you're gonna end up being the culprit of somebody's gonna find out you said something and they're not gonna like it. They're gonna have a sentiment that carried over to their partner. And as good as friends as you are or whatever, when people are in a relationship, they tend to be protective and they tend to prioritize their partner. And I've seen a lot of friendships go bad because of this, with different people in my life. So I think be careful. Be ready to find out that person, that your friend will no longer be your friend if you comment on their relationship. I don't think you should bite your tongue if there's anything that you see that's, to a certain level of mistreatment, whatever. I think you need to speak your piece in that one, but I mean, be ready to no longer be friends with that person.
It's really unfortunate. It's one of those things where it's also, it's really easy from the outside looking in to make a judgment about something, but it's so hard when you're in it to separate feelings and all that stuff and look at things objectively. And those people usually come around when you, I feel at least for me, when I've been bro, hey, something's going on, they'll come around after and be really happy that you said something, but in the time they'll probably distance yourself. And then you have situations where we have a friend where we were this dude fucking sucks. I haven't seen that bitch since. Okay, I literally haven't seen her since. Hope she's doing well. Wish her nothing but the best. But I have not seen her since. So
yeah, we did have a friend in college who her boyfriend was essentially making some fat phobic decisions and comments about her, and she was just not seeing it, bro. I was just you change your whole lifestyle. Did you change that for you, or did you change that because your boyfriend told you to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there were some other red flags in that one, but
you know what? That's funny. I didn't even remember that one. I thought about a totally different red flag about him, but okay, there was multiple.
Yeah, there was multiple. There was multiple red flags in that one. And those people will not hang out with you again.
It happens.
It happens. They do come back later. She did come back later. She apologized, and I, said, okay, I'm glad you're doing well. TTYL.
TTYL.
Yeah. It'd be like that. I think that another one is, if you're gonna fuck around and find out with your partner's friends, you need to understand something. Your partner's friends tend to be your partner's friends forever. Okay, you are an addition, but you can also be a subtraction, and that's just kind of like what it is. People do get custody of the friends in the divorce more than others, and it's just something you kind of have to get ready for when you break up with somebody. A lot of friendships kind of follow, which is crazy. I did not expect that. It happens in adult relationships all the time, and mostly when they feel like one person was more wrong than the other, or one person was more affected by the breakup than the other.
Well, I had a situation where I was most certainly right in the breakup, but the friends didn't come with, and it really actually deeply hurt me for a while, because depending on how long you're in a relationship for, you're hanging out with these people for like for in my situation was like 5 years. And so you think like, oh, they're going to side with me because like they know I was right, quote unquote. And even if you are right, because that person wants to maintain friendships with all their other friends, not only your ex, they drop you, because it's like what bros do or whatever. And honestly, I would say that was probably like the most hurtful thing about my breakup personally. Like, honestly, like that was what really killed me, was because you think like, oh, well, we are friends. Nope. They'll sit with your ex and talk shit about you and say things that are completely untrue. And it's like, oh, dope, 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 dope. I kind of totally misread this, and it is what it is. So it's like, I am thankful that I had kept my own friend group during that entire relationship, so that when we broke up, I still maintained my friends. And I'm very thankful that, and in the same way, my friends completely cut off my ex, right? Like my friends, we're not talking to my ex anymore at all. And so it's like his friends just kind of did the same thing. But because I thought I was right in the breakup, I thought I was going to like win our friend group. No, it just kind of like separated boys versus girls. Yeah. So keep your own friends during a relationship, so that if and when you break up, you still have fucking friends.
Yeah. And at first, it may seem like a really good idea to date your best friend's boyfriend's best friend. That might not be a good idea.
Ultra specific.
Because I fucked around and found out that that didn't end well for me. Okay, you will end up having them in your life for the rest of your life. It just inedible. You know what I mean? Like if you plan on still being friends with your best friend, then buckle up for a life together. Post breakup. Yeah. Another fucking around and finding out in any of your scenes, I would do your experimenting outside of your circle in general. In your community, I would say no. The gym, I fucked around and found out. I said, you know what? Let's send it for the gym crush for the one time. What did I find out? I didn't really click with that man, and now we avoid each other. And now it's weird because like I don't really have the tools to talk to that man because I don't really know him, but like we've been around each other for almost 3 years. So now it's super awkward that we just don't say hi to each other anymore because of like one weird encounter that we had together.
Definitely. Also, like, straight up, it's like I feel like you should not hook up with anyone that it would make you uncomfortable to see them on a regular basis. Like, and you do see them on a regular basis. Thankfully, from whatever God I believe in, I have saved myself from blowing through the comedy community, and now I'm really thankful about that, because first of all, I can bring my boyfriend around and not feel weird because there's a bunch of people that I've hooked up with, and secondly, I don't feel weird about coming around because I'm not trying to avoid my ex. And funny story enough, actually I broke my own rule one time, and there was this really, really cute guy. He still is really cute. And he had just started comedy, and I was like, no, 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 no. But he courted me, and then we started dating. And we like bonded over the fact that we both like had this lifelong dream of being stand-up comedians. It like made something we were like, I was like so in love with him, love in air quotes or whatever. He broke up with me. He gave up his lifelong dream of doing stand-up comedy, and I have never seen him again. And I'm not going to say it's because he wants to avoid me, but I have not seen him since we broke up, and I used to see him like 4 days a week for 6 months. So I have a little inkling of a feeling that he did not want to see me anymore. And so I just think that's so funny that like someone is trying to avoid me so badly that they gave up on their dream. But don't put yourself in that situation where you have to remove yourself because you don't want to see someone.
Yeah. yeah, I run into a good amount of exes going out to the places I go out in because, it's a small community, the
Yeah.
ER community. And, maybe I realize I'm tapped out. I don't think I can
Yeah.
do it anymore.
You're cut
it's
off.
awkward. I'm cut off. I see one, I'm with the other one. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, how do I do? What do I do? And then there's people that obviously recognize you from show to show. And then they see you being the worst probably version of yourself with all these different people.
Yeah, and then they're like, you have the awkward thing. Oh, where's so-and-so? And then they bring up your ex's name, and you're like, why the fuck would you bring him up right now? I was having a good time.
Yeah.
Or you're with someone new, and they're like, who was so-and-so? And you're like, it doesn't matter. It was my friend, a fucking colleague. I don't know.
It was a cousin. It was my cousin. Yeah, so just like maybe privately date and then like don't bring them around your spaces until you're ready for that other step. But all in all, sometimes fucking around and finding out, I think you learn good life lessons. I don't think you need to repeat the same fucking around and finding out. You will probably just relearn that lesson again and again. But I get it. Like sometimes we're just feeling it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the fucking around and finding out energy is the summer energy. It's just like vibes.
And sometimes I feel like one time where like I would not want to repeat this situation again was kind of taking an impromptu trip to Europe without a lot of details and plans. Was it the worst thing that's ever happened to me? No. Would I ever do that again? No. Is it good memes now with 8 years of distance? Yeah. But at the time, I was stressed, bro. I'm in a fucking country I don't know. I don't have enough money for like the level of fucking around that we were doing. You know what I'm saying? We fucked around and got kicked out of an Airbnb. We fucked around and missed a flight. And it was just too much fucking around for how little monies I had. It was a good experience overall.
Maybe just like a good quick assessment of risk, like when you're about to fuck around and find out. Be like, what will I find out? What are the two like possible outcomes of the finding out? You know what I mean? And if you think the reward is worth the risk, then take it. But if it's not worth the risk and you're just doing it for the hee hee ha ha's, maybe no. Maybe we don't fuck around and find out this year.
It's the equation.
Yeah.
I love it. You gotta do the equation, and maybe you're just like, you know what? I don't even want the possibility of finding this shit out, so I'm gonna avoid fucking around.
If you don't really like the worst case scenario, if the worst case scenario is really not one you're trying to maneuver around, deal with, then maybe it's not worth fucking around.
Exactly. Okay. All right, y'all. Honestly, I want to hear about your times where you fucked around and found out. Please hit us up on our Instagram or TikTok. You can find us on socials at thanks4 your concern. And I'm at LL Tutor.
And I'm at Bernice Diaz M.
Okay, we love you. As always, please like, subscribe, and tell a friend. And we will be here next week. Bye.
Bye.